Hi, everybody. Welcome back to In the Arena, a special TGE week special, I guess. But anyway, In the Arena, this is where we sit down with the builders and thinkers shaping the frontier of AI and crypto. I'm Carson Farmer, CTO of Recall, and today I'm super stoked to be talking to Jay, who's co-founder and president of Magic Labs and the lead developer on the Newton protocol. And so for folks who aren't aware, or maybe just kind of getting to know the space a bit, Magic's been pioneering user auth and like onboarding for Web3 for a long time. And with the Newton protocol, they're kind of expanding that vision into like real world assets and stable coins and policy. And a lot of that revolves around how AI interact on chain. And so they've been building this platform where developers can create and deploy and scale agents powered by crypto. So we can talk a little bit more about that, how you guys, bridge decentralized identity and AI alignment and all that stuff.
Totally.
But to kick us off, I thought I'd say, okay, if that's what you guys are working on, what's missing in today's AI and crypto landscape that kind of keeps agents from being and operating autonomously?
Yeah. So we kind of learned this from firsthand experience. When, as a builder of Newton product and then the protocol, before TG, we had built Newton XYZ, and that was a DCA agent that was able to pretty much like autonomously buy like tokens on Base and then like other chains. And the cool thing that we added there was the verifiable proof part. So when the agent executes DCA, it's happening within the T environment, and then there's a proof that's generated to show that the decision that was made in the T and how it was performed are fully verifiable. And so that's what we had built with Newton XYZ. Post TG, we went back to the drawing board because we learned a lot while we're building Newton XYZ. And one thing that we learned that was very clear was when trying to make AI agents uh, autonomously perform decisions on complex stuff, not just like one simple action, it became a lot like harder problem. And then also thinking about how AI agent can handle all, like one AI agent can handle all types of strategies, not just DCA,
Mm-hmm.
like yield farming or like lending, borrowing, and all that. It was it seemed to be very tough to have just one agent handle that.
Yeah.
We had to kind of think about how to build separate AI agents that specialize in doing each of those tasks really well, right? And then that meant, all right, like one agent needs to coordinate with another agent. But then, like, how do we show that the AI agent is able to make the right decision, but also, more importantly, they they don't make like bad actions, as in like misusing misallocating users' funds, potentially losing funds, right? And with our background with Magic, we come from like security compliance background, building the whole like key management system. So we felt like, oh, this is actually very applicable for the on-chain like AI interaction aside. So that's how we came with the policy idea. And to answer your question, yeah, for AI to be fully autonomous, to me, that means agents interacting with AI agents, not really with humans. Even with humans, there's still a trust problem today. Like, would you put a lot of your funds on these AI agents and then trust that it's able to perform the right actions, but also just trust that it's going to be good, not bad, right? But adding a layer on top of that, like AI agent and AI agent, how do you make sure that
Yeah.
they are able to perform autonomously and honestly? So and then for that to happen, we believe that there needs to be like a trust layer, uh, and there can be many forms, but one form that we feel very convicted on is a policy part. We see that as like a trust language that can be used between AI agents so that they can act autonomously.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think the really interesting thing there is trust transferability, which you get with like kind of why policies exist in the first place, right? Which is like I might trust my own agent that I've developed and had a hand in sort of designing, and I want it to be able to make autonomous decisions on what other sub agents to operate with. But
Yeah.
how do I know that like the trust that I've sort of imbued in my primary agent is being transferred to the interactions that it has with the downstream agents and so on and so forth? And so, yeah, managing that through policy kind of makes sense. So that's would you characterize this sort of, you know, Newton protocol is like the smart policy to the, you know, like other chains like smart contract sort of scenario where it's like, you know, programmable policy? Is that kind of how you guys think
Yeah.
about it?
Yeah, that's very close. With smart contracts, that they're more like deterministic, right? And that's what these chains are built and meant to do.
Yeah.
Um, but then as we think about AI, and especially when it comes to data, a lot of not just data, as we see a lot of like institutions and Web2 companies coming on chain, that's going from off chain to on chain, and there needs to be a lot of data that maybe needs to sit still within Web2 and not be stored in Web3, right? Um, when it comes to that, how do you have like a very expressive like dynamic language that's able to like adapt and then like read like real time data, and that's where we see like the programmable policy not being built directly onto the smart contract like just EVM or other VM layers or
Right.
VM chains, but more being done in the off-chain environment. But ensuring that the proof is generated and committed to the chain so that user can fully like trust and it's transparent and they can verify. So yeah, you're correct that it's like programmable policy.
That's cool. I mean, I guess the other piece of it is right. Is like a superpower of AI is that non-determinism, and so
Exactly.
there's lots of ways to like apply or enforce or you know do some work that is still enforceable by a particular policy. Like there's lots of ways to arrive at a given outcome that isn't necessarily deterministic, and so being able to like leverage that flexibility is quite interesting. That's cool. Actually, fun quick aside. So you mentioned TGE and sort of learning before, during, and after TGE, and we just did our TGE this week.
Congrats on that.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
I'm sure it's very exciting, but also
I'm
very
sure if I
challenging.
had talked to you about it before we did it, you would have told me to get more sleep.
Oh yeah,
It wasn't a very restful week, but very exciting. But related to that, so we over the last couple of weeks we've been putting out, you know, our tokenomics and our token disclosure in blog form and all that. And I wanted to say we actually did use Magic or Newton Labs like blog format, and we actually like were inspired and borrowed some ideas and content from some of the work that you guys did. So thank you for that. That was super helpful. And I actually think you did a really good job on
thank you.
disclosure stuff. So that's been yeah, kind of really nice, really helpful for us. So
Yeah,
quick
I'm
little
glad that we're able to help that way.
yeah. I mean, this is the beauty of these open networks, right? We can actually
Exactly.
build and learn from each other. Cool. All right, I'm going to keep pestering you with questions, and then we can keep getting. And then I
Of
have some
course.
more juicy ones towards the end. But
Okay.
maybe one thing that you're talking to a CTO, so I like to talk about nerdy stuff sometimes. So what are kind of like the core crypto economic primitives that you guys are leveraging, and like how do you see sort of tokens and staking and reputation kind of all come together to help align AI behavior? This is something we think about a lot
Yeah.
with Recall, so I'm interested in your perspective there.
Yeah. First, I'll say it definitely cannot be one project solving all of it. Like when it comes to reputation, I think you guys are like like yeah, executing on that really well. The for us, I'll talk about the staking first. Speaking for the foundation, on the token aspect, yeah, we've been working with EigenLayer
Hmm.
on setting up the AVS validators.
Nice.
Basically, the utility of the token is it secures the validator, and then the use case of the validator is it evaluates the policies, and then also creates proofs, right? So when it comes to AI agents handling transactions on behalf of users, before they actually are able to transact, a policy must be evaluated, and when the policy returns true, simple binary, then the AI agent is able to submit the transaction. If not, they can't. And also when it comes to the validators being honest, if they're not honest, then obviously they get slashed. Yeah, so pretty much like a traditional, simple like staking models that we have implemented. Um, yeah, we're at a state where the policy part has been almost fully built out. So we're actually using a language called Rego. It's a popular policy language that's used
Mm.
within the Web2 environment. Yeah, it's and then so we looked at the language. It was very declarative. It fit the use case for us, and we didn't see the need to like reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
It was more about just like projecting that on the Web3 side, and then us being able to focus on just more of the use cases and unlocking these dApps to be able to build AI or stable coins and RWAs. Yeah, and then on the reputation side, we see that as a very important piece of the puzzle that we got to solve, and I think that's where we definitely see collab with you guys potentially in the future. After we have the policy and then the mainnet fully out. Yeah, and then the reputation is interesting because I think when it comes to trust, it doesn't only apply to can the like am I able to trust the AI agent to perform the action on behalf of me, or like can it transact properly on behalf of me? It's also like can I actually trust and like feel confident about the agent? And I think that's where the reputation comes in.
Yeah.
But also I think when it comes to these AI agents actually being able to like fully like realize the use case, and we see like innovation and growth, I think a reputation will help because like it just makes it easy for people but also AI agents to make decisions and work together, right? Yeah, so on the reputation side, that's how we see it so far. The other primitive, I would say, I think policy that we've created, I think that's a new primitive that we see. um, and then, because policy, sure, it's a language, it does evaluate the policy, etc. But then it's in a full form when it's tied with a transaction. So you know how like chains they talk about TVL. For policy, it's more like assets, or like the value of assets that's secured or
Uh-huh.
evaluated. That's how we see it. So I think that's a new type of primitive that we'll see. And then maybe there's more composable dApps or more even composable policies that are built on top of the generic policies that we have built.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that composability playing out in various ways. Also, again, tying back to that sort of transferability thing that I mentioned earlier, you can imagine sort of like different policies either building on each other or restricting each other through some sort of workflow between agents, so that
Yep.
the outcome is sort of like defined by some broad policy, and then within that, sort of like, I don't know if you call them sub policies or something, so that that no one step of that workflow is actually going to violate like the policies
Exactly.
or something like that. Yeah, that's cool. Um, okay, speaking of all that stuff, so this is another topic which I find quite interesting, especially when we're talking about the autonomy of AI, right? Because what we want, I think, is increasingly for AI to be able to execute tasks on our behalf, and we want to know that, as you mentioned, sort of reputation is a multifaceted thing, but we want them to know, are they going to do kind of what we want them to do? And then are they going to do the best job possible at the thing that we want them to do? So for instance, if like, can I trust the agent to manage my portfolio? Sure. Let's imagine that it's always going to manage my portfolio. And the next
Hmm.
question is like, well, is it going to do a good job of
Right.
managing the portfolio? Is it going to stick to, my personal thesis, right? Like, is it going to avoid environmentally damaging stocks because that's part of my like, personal policy
Hmm.
about investing or whatever. And then within that, even, yeah, is it going to pick the right ones? So there's a degree of like, how much autonomy do we provide to the agents whilst balancing that with like transparency and accountability? And so, how do you think? I have there's no right answer, I guess, but So
Yeah.
like, how do we start to balance that, and like, what mechanisms are you guys exploring that kind of let the agents reflect human intent, either economically, technically, or socially, whilst still kind of making them autonomous, right? Because the end, if we put too much control, then it's just like another deterministic. It's just an automated system, and we already have automated trading or something like that. So that's not very interesting. And on the other extreme, we just let the agents go hog wild, and our wallets get emptied. So there's some balance there. I wonder how you sort of think we strike that balance, and maybe policy is the answer.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I don't think there's like I think there's so many paths that can be taken. And then it's hard to know and tell how it's gonna exactly play out. But I think one thing that Newton can help is like with the policies, you can define like these parameters and limits, right? And then like the very like specific conditions. So going back to when you talked about like how much do we give up control, and like you said, like portfolio, starting with portfolio, trusting the AI agent to manage portfolio is one. Second, are they actually making the right decisions on deploying capital in the best opportunistic vaults that are out there? I think for the second one, how we can help is more of an efficient trial and error. What I mean by that is I think humans can probably set very simple, let's say, spending limits to like $500 where they feel comfortable. And then maybe try out many different like AI agents to see which one's performing well, right? And then the ones that are performing well, then now other developers or even the existing developer can continue to iterate on that. And that's how we can see like gradual innovation and improvement of these AI agents. That's one way to go think about it. The other one is, yeah, I think yeah, the other way to gate that is also, again, I think reputation as well. Um, but I think the whole like the general theme that's common between the two is like progressive, like gradual like improvement or innovation of these two. That's how I see this happening.
Mm.
At the same time though, like I remember the old DeFi era, like 2020, 2021, even like the last bull run. Um, we've seen a lot of like toys that became big products. And for example, like Luna is one. I think it was a very interesting like mathematical experiment,
Right.
where we saw a really big ecosystem get built around Luna, but unfortunately failed, because AI agents and AI, like the pace of innovation and development is so quick. I think that world could also play out where just full control is given out to AI agents because they just perform really well, and then they make new decisions and they just grow and innovate a lot faster than like how much we can grasp. So I think that's another world that can play out too. Yeah.
Yeah, and these decisions can kind of compound to the point where, yeah, you just like literally can't keep track.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
that's more on the degen side that we could see. But I think when it comes to like institutional, like enterprise or yeah, even like Web3 that are like really serious, I think it'll be more of the gradual phase that they'll take.
yeah. I mean, if anyone dangerously unleashes AI, it's definitely going to be crypto degens. So,
Yeah.
um, okay. Well, actually, so speaking of which, here's maybe like a good how. I'll start with this. What AI tools do you totally trust now today? If,
Mm. I don't totally trust any AI tools except um, if I can run the LLM in my laptop offline. I mean, yeah, still connected to the internet, but maybe offline as well. If I just fetch the data and want it to run locally, then I would trust. But to be honest, like ChatGPT and Gemini, all these tools out there, I do take some caution when it comes to like sharing my personal data, obviously. Uh, but I actually tested out the credit card flow, as in like AI agent buying
yeah.
an item, let's say on Amazon on behalf of me. But that was more for testing, not actually like fully trusting it to do all of my purchases on behalf of me, right? So I'm not there yet. And I'm curious of what you think, but like, yeah, for me, I use it cautiously, but not fully trust at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I use it a lot. I think I've become like a reflexive AI user. I uh, I am a firm believer that like any output or action that I take, I'm ultimately responsible for it. We should
Mm,
all feel that way.
right,
So
right.
if I fully, I trust the AI tools that I use insofar as I'll use them to get a job done. But like at the end of the day, it's me who's going to submit that pull request, or it's me who's going to like, authorize that particular transaction. And so there's always like some oversight in there. But I'm starting to relinquish trust to more and more things. I'm starting to like not look at more and more of the code that I
Mm.
produce. Um, so I'm on the way there. I
Oh,
am
interesting.
I'm curious to see
Yeah.
how long it takes before people are like really trusting, because there's a difference between like trusting an AI to, buy something for you,
Hmm.
where you've sort of said like, I'm looking for a nice shirt. I need a shirt. Can you go buy me a shirt? And you're like, you've given it some parameters, and like, I guess it could go and buy you a $5,000 shirt, but like probably not going to do that, right? Like it's probably pretty, the bounds
Yeah,
there are safe. Versus, I'd like you to manage my portfolio or my 401k or something. Like that's a very different. And I'm interested in seeing like what the trajectory of over time of people trusting, and the degree of um like how long before someone trusts if an AI to fully manage their portfolio versus to make purchases online. Because
yeah,
the truth is, right now we trust, professionals to manage our portfolio, and I guarantee you they're using AI to help them make portfolio decisions. And if they're not, you should get a new portfolio manager because they're obviously not keeping up. Um, and so that's, you kind of are already implicitly trusting an AI in a lot of those senses. But it would be awfully nice if you could define a really well crafted policy that you expect that portfolio manager and their any AI tooling that they're using to follow. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe when there's
yeah,
more guardrails in place, people will trust things more over time, I guess.
yeah.
Um, how long do you think it is before people stop look people stop submitting transactions that is just AI who are managing on-chain transactions and things like that? What do you think the timeline is?
It's it's hard to tell. Like, I mean, if I was asked, like, on the embedded wallet side, like, would most of the people be using embedded wallets today, like 2025? Like when I was asked the question 2018, I would probably say yes. And but right now it's been almost like 8 years, but still we're not there yet.
Mm,
But AI, I think again, the pace of innovation is so fast, and like you said, like I mean, I haven't been coding for some time, but I was a developer before too. Um, and the fact that like you said, like you're at a point where certain code you don't need to look and then just trust that it'll do the job. That's yeah, that's quite big, right? So, um, but to me, I think it all boils down to convenience. Uh, I think first is like probably like first couple times you actually check if it's doing the right thing, if it spit out the output that you were expecting. But later on, like you start building trust and you let it automate, right? And then to me, that is like the gap from building the trust now to convenience.
right.
And as that factor, I mean, that gets bigger and bigger, that's when it gets fully automated. And then especially in DeFi, at at a point where AI agent can consistently get better returns for you without losing your funds. And then when we see more use, more like you know uh, like evidences like that, and then as a normie coming in, you don't need to learn all these concepts, and it's very convenient for you to just you know click a button and let it automate. That's the world when I think it'll fully flip. But how long it will take, I'm not sure. Like maybe I think we'll see good competition between like real traders and AI agents in the middle between like the if you were to call the current market as bull market or maybe ending, I don't know. But from
Right.
now, like in the middle of now to like next bull market. But after that, I think AI agents will be replacing
Yeah,
a lot of like humans. So if that means 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 years, that's how I see it.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we're seeing, yeah, in on recall, we're seeing AI agents, outperforming the market in a lot of cases. So, um, yeah, it's coming. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, we're almost out of time, so I got one more kind of high level question, and then I'll throw it over to you maybe for some closing thoughts if you want to get something off your chest. But actually, earlier on in the chat, you mentioned kind of interacting with that. The whole crypto AI space kind of, there's not one protocol that's going to solve the whole thing. Like it's this holistic approach. So, because I agree, I share that sort of thesis. I think we have groups like Newton and Recall and Gaia and Morpheus and Eigen is getting into the sort of like verifiable LLM stuff, and
Yep.
Sapien and all these teams, and each one seems to be identifying like a pretty great vertical of the sort of like crypto AI space. So what do you think it will take for all of these different networks to fully start interoperating as part of like, I mean, like I would be interested in gathering together a conference or workshop or something on like an open intelligence
I love
economy
that.
or community or something like that,
Yeah.
where we've got these different specialization layers. But yeah, what do you think it's going to take maybe to get one? Let's start with just getting everybody in the same room. I guess we could just do
Yep.
that. But then two, like what? Just off the top of your head, what do you think is the infrastructure we need to make that happen?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we need a new infrastructure. I
Ideally, not.
yeah, I think it'd be good to take a playbook from the old DeFi days, where it was composable DeFi, right? Like MakerDAO and then like Uniswap and then Curve, like etc. And then like InstaDApp was born, where it wrapped like Uniswap and these other protocols. It was very composable, that allowed new type of DeFi protocols to be built on top as well. And I haven't dove in deeply on the tech side to see like all those projects that you mentioned, if it's composable like as of right now, right? The hard part is that not everything is on chain. For example, our policy, the proofs are going to on chain, but like the policies are evaluated like off chain.
Data on recall, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Good.
exactly. And so how is that the API layer that we got to figure out together? I don't think it's on chain. So maybe, yeah, one playbook that we can take on is the composability theme, but in terms of how it actually plays out in practice, to me, that's probably a totally separate thing than us trying to make it all happen on chain, right? So maybe that there's like some universal like API layer, kind of like a like export 402 kind of type that we can work together on. But I love the
Yeah,
idea of
yeah,
like open intelligence economy. Yeah.
yeah. We could form the Open Intelligence Collective. That would be, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just throwing that out there, but
I like the
something
naming.
like that. I mean, there are these A2A protocol X403. There's a few other sort of like these protocol primitives that are cropping up that seem like reasonable mechanisms to actually get at the AI layer interoperating, and then we have at least sort of like on-chain resolution of different parts of that stack. So I think it's doable, but yeah, um, very
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, well, until we do meet at the first Open Intelligence Collective meeting, I thought if you've got any closing thoughts or anything that you wanted to get off your chest before we sign off. It's been a great chat, really fun.
Yeah, likewise, likewise. No, this is the most fun part of working in crypto. Yeah, just talking about cool stuff together. Yeah, closing thought for me. Yeah, I'll just share a little bit more about um, like Magic's background and then why Newton a bit more.
Awesome.
Yeah, so with Magic, we started out in 2018. The vision was to just unlock onboarding for mainstream. And we believe from infra point of view, we've achieved that already. And then with Newton, um, and then now with all these great verticals opening up, AI, which we've been talking about, like, and then stablecoins and RWAs, they're all like interchangeable, as in like they can all play together. with Newton, we see not just Newton, by the way. For I think the core theme is like when will the mainstream adoption be fully unlocked? And with Magic, I think we did that. We're on that path with unlocking onboarding for humans. But then to me, it's still been kind of slow. Like we have customers like Naver, Polymarket, like Forbes, Mattel, etc. But like these big banks or like big enterprises still not adopting crypto yet. And there are a lot of hurdles to that. But I think AI, when it comes to the convenience factor, that's one for like the normies and retail. But AI enabling these, like big companies, enterprises to be able to technically adopt makes it a lot easier too. And the AI actually being able to perform exactly what you want it to do, but the best way possible. That's AI too. To me, AI is what will fully unlock mass adoption that like we've been going after. And
Yeah.
so from like with our background, like our vision kind of stays the same. With Newton, it's more about how can we help on the security layer or trust layer with policies to help unlock that, right? And then, like you said, we call it open, what was it? Something collective. Maybe that's the path to unlocking like mainstream adoption. But I do think AI is the main rail
Yeah.
that will really open up crypto to be not just mainstream from like awareness point of view, but actually in practice. So like I've been in the space for a long time, probably you as well, and I think it's time that we need to start seeing this. Then like all these speculative stuff that's going on in crypto that's been bringing crypto to awareness today, but I think we're nearing the time now where we'll actually have like real fundamental and they're useful through AI that gets unlocked. So
Yeah,
yeah,
nice. Well put. Well put. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I share that thesis that we'll get to billion agent users well before we get to a billion human users.
I like to
Um,
say trillions,
a
trillions of
trillion.
agents.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's very conceivable, right? And the truth be told, the UX for crypto is still so bad, but we might be able to just leapfrog that whole
yeah.
problem and leverage the universal interface of chat and language with these models. And
We call that
absolutely
app
knock
abstraction,
that
by the
down.
way.
There
Yeah,
you
we
go.
call it app abstraction. Like no UI is the
Yeah,
best UI, right? That's
yeah,
exactly what you're describing. Yeah.
yeah. And then with that comes I mean, so this week we did TGE, and I had so many different transactions I had to perform, and like hardware wallets and in
Mm,
browser wallets and things are just so cumbersome. And but we actually built an MCP server for some of our on-chain operations, and for a while there I was just talking to Claude. Hey Claude, can you like what's the state of this contract? Or like, hey Claude, can you just quickly transfer this to that? And it still pops up a thing for me to sign and all that, but
yeah,
like it's just such a like objectively better experience when I can talk to my quote unquote friend and have them handle the complexities of like figuring out which parameter to set and how and where and when. And
totally.
it's much less likely for it to make a mistake about contract addresses and all that stuff, because it doesn't sort of go like, oh yeah, those numbers look right. Yeah, that's fine. But it actually like checks, are those numbers exactly correct? Yes, they are. Okay, great. We'll move forward. Anyway, yeah. So big plus one from me on that front. Right. Well, we're at time. Thank you so much. It's been an awesome chat. And I hope we'll do it again soon.
Yeah.
And for everybody listening, thanks for joining.